my friends, welcome back to the channel. I have this very cute Stampendous gnome stamp. He is called Slim Winter Gnomes. Now, from what I know, this is not available and I was not going to record it. So this is actually the second time I've colored this image. I had a lot of inquiries from people who know me of wanting to see me color this image. I was originally going to do this for a class at my local craft shop and we can't get it. So it's CS18 called Slim Winter Gnomes. I'm actually going to do another one. I've got I made a Universal Craft sticky mat just for machines like, what's it called? Brother, Scan and Cut, Silhouette, all that sort of stuff. And I've cut it into 4 6x6 strips. And I didn't have a problem with it stamping because this is obviously off the edge because it's a slim line. I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever, with leaving a line or a lack of line or anything like that. No problem. I'm trimming this all down because this was for the Fusion Card Challenge 10th of November, I think it was. And yes, I'm only just now editing the video to give it to you. If you're not aware, Fusion Card Challenge, you get an image, you get a sketch or a map, and you can use one or you can use the other, or you can fuse it all together. In the image that we were given, it's called gingerbread. Yeah, just gingerbread. Yes, the photo has gingerbread in there. It's that red and browny sort of tones, but there was also a gnome in there. And I'm got a little bit of a kick for gnomes. I'm into gnomes at the moment. We go through these things. I love my sloths. I love my gnomes. I love the list. Honestly, the list could go on and on and on. The sketch in it had like a strip along sort of the top third, I would say, of the card. We're changing it around. We're going to rotate that around. This is going to be on the top and then we're going to have a strip underneath it. The colors that I'm using are, for my reds, R89, R46, R24 and 22. I'm just providing a little bit of definition between, like with this dude here, underneath his beard is going to be darker because his beard's going to sit on top of it. And his belly, underneath his belly, is going to be a little bit darker because he's got a big belly. What can you say? The hats, I am pretty much going with the flow of it. Now, if you look at the hats, especially look at like the second or the third hat right near my finger there, my ring finger, it's very curvy. Gnomes are not that shape, so I'm just going to give the impression of it curved. But where the hat curves inwards, I'm going to have a little bit of shading, a little bit because if there's more material there, then it's going to have a little bit more darkness. To get my drift. This is my first mistake because as I said, I did do this card 2 times. I did once with a bunch of girlfriends because I wasn't going to record it, and this photo actually went live back on the 10th of November, and yes, I'm only just getting around to doing it. But this hat here, the bottom panel is meant to be white. Mistake number 1. Does it really matter? I don't think so. But you can basically see with there that I don't really know how to describe that last hat. It's got layers of material sort of like folded over it. So it's going to be dark and then go up to a little bit lighter, dark. This is going to get the illusion that it's a whole bunch of material sitting on top of each other. Let's look at this hat here. You can see where it's gone in. I've just done a little bit of the darkest color stripping. I'm moving outwards, trying to leave a center highlight, but trying to keep that little bit of texture. A little bit of texture. Underneath their beards is going to be darker because the beard is sitting on top, and of course around the edges I tend to do a front highlight. It just seems to be my go-to. I would suggest find something that you're comfortable with and work with that, and then later on you can branch out. Mistake number 2, this green, it's not a mistake, but that last dude is meant to be this particular green. But does it really matter? No, it doesn't really matter. So that's the difference between the two photos, because if you see the photo from the last over on my Instagram account, which is just Natalie Perry Walsh, you'll see that the last color is darker. So this particular one here, we've got the G99, G94, and we go down to a G92. I don't really know what I was thinking, because the G99, of course, is a lot darker than the second combination, which starts with a G46. 99 and 46. The 6, it should be lighter. I don't think it's always the case, but generally speaking, that's the saturation level. That's how dark it is. No, it's not the saturation level. I'm having a brain moment here. Moving on. This little scarf should be the lighter color and a hat should be the darker color, but doesn't matter. So with the scarf, she has folds in the scarf. Your scarf is never soft and smooth. So we're just having some little creases in the hat, in the scarf. The same with this little puppy. Now, can we just pause and just look like puppies and little kittens with gnome hats on? Do I need to say more? I just think it's so stinking cute. So as of now I did this video, I went to record this video once before, and I actually had gone through and did it, and then I realized I wasn't recording. So forgive me if I've already said this. This stamp is not available. I wasn't going to do a video on it, but I had a lot of requests from people that know me personally, and they wanted to see the colors. They wanted to see, why did they discontinue this stamp? How? Okay, I like my cute things. It's not for everyone. People like flowers, but I like my cute things. But why did they discontinue this? Stampendous, if you're listening, which you're not, because why would they be listening to me? Why? But anyway, so this is why. So it's just hopefully giving you some color combinations and ideas on how to color things, like pen combinations as well as colors. I will completely say that this was like, excuse me girls, okay, I need another color. I've got red, I've got 2 different greens. What should I do? What's the next color? And they were like, show us blue green. I'm like, okay, done. There was not a lot of thinking on my behalf. I made everyone else do the thinking, but it was fun. It was a weekend away. The blue greens that we've got here is BG09, BG07, BG45, and we're going to go down to BG53. For years, I stuck with the color families like BG09, 07. Off the top of my head, I don't know if they've got it, but a BG05 and BG03. I don't really know if they've got it because it's not there. If you want to, as you can see, the numbers are BG09, 07, 45. So 975. Try it. You on a scrap piece of paper first. Don't try it on your work because it takes too long to color all these images and it's looking pretty cute now. Try it on a scrap piece of paper. If they go well, why not? Give it a whirl. My beards, I also decided to go a little bit different from my whites because they couldn't all have white hair. We got what looks like a lady there, so we couldn't do that. Now the cat and the first dude, their beards are pretty much, well, the colouring is the same. It's just the same. So we've got E47, 43 and E41. The center, again, I'm sort of doing it the same way as I've done the other ones. The tail, I'm not giving it as curvy, so to speak. But the body of the cat is darker on the edges than it is in the middle. But the tail is small. No one's going to go, excuse me, like you colored that wrong. If they do, they don't deserve this card. Beards with the mustaches, they're protruding a little bit more than the beard, so it's a little bit darker underneath it, and that's just going to bring the mustache out a little bit more. And I'm doing on all my beards, on all my fluff, I'm doing little fine strokes. You have to be pretty light-handed with the darkest, or do it once and then don't flick out again. When I first started colouring dogs and I wanted to do fur, that was my mistake. I was just way too heavy-handed with it. So I just need to soften that down. What you can do with adding the lighter colours underneath it, you can soften that a little bit more. Or before you do the last, so Copics, you generally sort of do 2 layers of the colour, right? Generally speaking. Before you do the second layer of colour, go over it a little bit with just like flicks of the 0 marker, the colours blender, and that's going to push back and subdue that darkest colour. Our last little gnome beard, the lady with the plaits, we're going to call her a lady, and the dog here are E29. I didn't tell you the colour of the second one. E29, 25 and 21. The other one that we had besides the cat, we had E35, 53 and 51. The dog here, you can see his ears bent over. You can see a little bit of shadowing already underneath his ears and in the middle of the flap, giving the impression that it's not a flat object. It's a bit smooth. So I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm using what they've already given me to colour and add the depth that they've got. Again, the beard is going to be darker underneath the mustache because they're going to provide a little bit of a shadow, and that's going to bring that out a little bit more. Next, after we do this little girl, you see with the braid there, it's just sort of, it's drawn pretty much like a wave. So there's little corners that just are going to have a little bit of shadow going through there. What I'm doing there is going to have a little bit of shadow, but I'm just adding the flicks, and the amount of the dark that you put down can alter obviously the color. So having more of the dark, it's going to be a darker hair color. I'm just checking there, making sure that I don't need to color anything or, soften anything out. The noses are the 100 pen, C9, C7 and C5. I'm sort of doing like a flattened L. The top of the tall part of the L is a lot lower, and the base of it is pushed out, which is just going to, again, give a little bit of dimension to our little nosies. The fluff. and the pom-poms. I'm doing the same thing with that I did with the beards, little small strokes, and I'll even go over with that with an O just to soften it down. You can see that there. But I've got C5, C3 and C1. I didn't use a lot of the C5. I think I pretty much only did it on a couple of them with the fluff of their hat, and that's about it. The snow we've got here is B-triple-O, B-G-triple-O, B-quadruple-O. It's only a tiny bit there, so it's not a big deal. I'm going to cut a lot of this out. You have to be super careful with this as well. You can see I've got a scrap piece of paper, especially going around red. If you go around red, you are quite likely, if you get too crazy, to pick up some of the red, and you don't want to let red strip line coming out in your sky. The sky was B-double-O and B-triple-O. Again, I'll leave all the links down below, and you can go over to my blog and you can see exactly what I've got. This is a scrap piece of cardstock that I already had some double-sided tape on it. So I'm just adhering that down. And that's the sketch, basically. It just had that line in it. So we've sort of moved it down and added our image up the top. This is Paper Rose Christmas Sentiment. It has lots of little ones with a big, like, sub-sentiments with a big Merry Christmas. I had some fluff on it. And when it's stamped, I don't know where I picked up the fluff, but when it's stamped, it was not, it's really hard to see, although with the M you could sort of see it a little bit. I'm going around it with a white gel pen, and you cannot see it. Honestly, you cannot see it, but it's going to make that whatever letter a little bit more crisper. Adding some details back in. We've got these images, and yes, they're already done as dark, but we're just going to go over with them with the white color just for a bit of fun. A little bit of fun. Add some dots to this green dude. The last thing I'm going to pretty much do is add a bit of Stardust stickles through the snow, the snowflakes that are falling down, because they need a little bit of sparkle. That's it. That's my card for today. I hope you're well. As I said, this is just to show you the colours that I used and how I went about using it. They've got quite a few little snowflakes. You can see both the cards here. And I hope you're well. Take care. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.